Welcome to Codex, a history of video games. I'm Mike Coletta.
And I am Tyler Osby.
And today we're going to go through some Xbox 360 games, and we're looking at exclusives today. Because now we're getting into the age where there's multi-platforms, and we're going to have to do a whole separate episode on multi-plat games because there's so many, and they're so important. We're talking about your Call of Duties, talking about your Assassin's Creeds. So now we're focusing strictly on exclusives for the Xbox 360. Tyler, take it away.
Yes, we're also not going to cover every single Xbox 360 exclusive, mostly because there's a lot of them that are not necessarily worth talking about. And also, I'm trying to stick to things that I know something about, which is good, probably.
And Tyler knows a lot about a lot. Don't let him fool you.
I know a little bit. And the ones that Mike knows about as well.
Yeah, which is
there's a lot of games that Mike knows about. No, Mike knows about. I bet you know more Xbox 360 games than I do.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, man, we're about to find out together. You want to hit us up with our first one?
Down. Yeah, first game, launch title, is called Cameo Elements of Power. This game's cool because it is a game that Rare made after, this was, I guess, a little while after being purchased by Microsoft Studios. So they were a second-party developer for Nintendo, and then Microsoft bought them and was like, okay, you make Xbox games now. And so they made a couple of Xbox games for the original Xbox. I think they made like Grabbed by the Ghoulies and some stuff like that. But Cameo Elements of Power was a launch title that they released for the Xbox 360, and it's like a kind of a classic Rare collectathon a little bit, some platforming, some puzzle solving. You play as this like elf who needs to get back her elements of power, hence the name, Cameo Elements of Power. What I like about this game, and I haven't played it in a long time, so hopefully my memory is not failing me here, but what I liked about this game is it's like the last of that style of Rare platforming puzzle solving kind of game, like your Banjo-Kazooies and your Conker's Bad Fur Days and that kind of stuff. Interestingly enough, it started development during the Nintendo 64 while Rare was a Nintendo studio, and it was going to be like kind of a Pokemon sort of monster catching game. And then they moved on to the GameCube because the N64 was old news. And then Microsoft bought Rare and was like, you make Xbox games now. And so they were like, okay, I guess we'll put this on the Xbox. And then the Xbox came and went, and Rare decided to move it on to the 360 and make it a launch title. So that's pretty cool. They also made another launch title. I'm just going to jump ahead here because I don't know if this game's even on this list that we have here, but another.
It's weird because it's a big list. We got a lot of games on this list.
But Perfect Dark Zero is a game that came out very early on. I want to double check and make sure it was a launch title, but if not,
I never actually played Perfect Dark Zero, but I was a huge fan of the original Perfect Dark on N64. Like I've said many times on this podcast, I loved it.
Yeah,
Joanna Doc.
It was a launch title, and I did play this game start to finish, and I did not start to finish play the original Perfect Dark.
Start to finish playing the original Perfect Dark is really weird because the game ends, and then there's all these like secret missions that take a long time to unlock that you got to go through and like get star difficulty ratings on to unlock. I don't even think I beat all of the original Perfect Dark, and I played it so much.
Yeah, that game was
find
great.
out though. I could just go on my N64 and boot it up and see what happens.
See where you're at. Perfect Dark Zero was also a launch title made by Rare, and it was a prequel to the original Perfect Dark, so it takes place before that game. I don't remember too much about the storyline. It doesn't matter. Nobody's really playing Perfect Dark for the storyline, but I do remember when this game came out, there was a sort of feeling around it being the Xbox 360's Halo, because Halo hadn't come out yet. Halo 3 hadn't come out yet, and Halo 2 was about a year old by this point. But this was like the first person shooter to be playing on the Xbox 360. It ended up not being very good.
It was kind of a buzzkill, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was mediocre. It was fine, but it was like it got stuck in the transition of like these older shooters and the newer shooters that would come out later on the Xbox 360. And it just like, it didn't feel like an old shooter, but it kind of didn't really feel like a new shooter either. And it just like, it really got stuck in the middle there. And it did have some really good graphics for the time. I remember being very impressed by her hair when you're playing as Joanna Dark.
Tyler's a big hair nerd in video games, aren't you, Tyler?
Big fan of hair in video games. Yeah. So that's Perfect Dark Zero. It did have a co-op mode, I believe, and you could play online, which was pretty neat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's one thing the original Perfect Dark didn't have.
Now, riddle me this, Tyler. These two games are a part of the Rare Replay, though, right? You could get them now.
Yes, they are.
That is exciting.
They go on
I
sale
need to
all the
get
time.
that
They might
still.
even be part of Game Pass, actually.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense if they were a part of Game Pass.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were, because they're a second-party studio. They're not making any money off selling Rare Replay discs anymore. Like, just put it on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're going to move on to maybe the first big Xbox arcade game?
Yes.
Is that what we would say it is? That's how we would call it?
Yeah, I think so. This game proved that the Xbox Live Arcade was a legitimate place to get games that were good and not just like crappy little mini games that were advertisement games that like weren't worth anything. This game is called Geometry Wars Retro Evolved. Mike, did you ever play much Geometry Wars?
I didn't, but I watched a lot of people play it, and I was like at parties where people were playing it, and I'm like, man, that looks so fun. And then I just never bought it.
Yeah,
I
Geometry
made a
Wars.
big mistake. I goofed, you could say.
You really did. There's a lot of them now. They're up to 4 or 5 now. But Geometry Wars Retro Evolved is a really neat. It kind of started this genre or popularized this genre of twin stick shooters, where you it's a top down view and you move up, down, left, right with the left stick, and then you aim your shooting apparatus with the right stick, and then just by moving the right stick in a direction, you shoot in that direction. So you could move and shoot at the same time. And it had this really cool retro aesthetic. So it was very angular, very 80s feeling of like kind of like an old Asteroids game. But there was so much more going on the screen. That's how you could kind of tell that it was like a high-tech game, because there were bullets flying everywhere. And it was like all glowy and cool and really fun, really challenging. Just a whole awesomeness. And there was like 2 and a 3, but they were all mostly the same. But they're really great games.
I need to check these games out. I really do.
Yeah.
You said glowy and cool, and it just reminded me that that's what I tell people you're like in person. Did you know that?
Thanks. Wow. Thank you.
They're like, hey, you did a podcast with video games. What's your co-host like? I'm like, he's glowy and cool. And they're like, that's a really good description. I'm like, you know exactly what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
We want to talk about the next game? Because I think I kind of know a little bit about the next game.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Condemned Criminal Origins. This was made by Monolith, who are the same people who made Fear, a game that Tyler and I hold deep in our hearts, at least the first one. And
also a launch title.
Oh, yeah. And Condemned is essentially you're going through crime scenes and you're solving crimes to piece together the story. But I know it was supposed to be like bloody, like kind of like the... is it called torture porn? Is that what they call Saw and those kind of things? It's kind of like that in a video game. Yeah, I never played it. Wasn't really my bag. It says survival horror on it too, because I think there's some really creepy moments in it. But I know it involves going around these crime scenes and like you're hunting someone, and that's man, it seems too scary. I want to play scary games, but I can't, dude. I try.
Yeah.
I turned on Outlast for like I think 5 minutes, and I just uninstalled the game because I got so scared.
Yikes.
I didn't like it.
I don't know why you want to be scared. I don't want to be scared.
I don't want to be scared either, man. Let's just keep playing games with unicorns and stuff in them. That sounds way better.
I don't mind tension, but I don't want to be scared.
Oh, yeah, tension's fun. I think that's why Doom is the right level for me, is you have a way to fight the scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they know, like in these survival horror games like Outlast, and I think in this Condemned game, when you can't do anything but run, oof. Ugh,
yeah.
It gets to me. It really gets to me.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to skip that next one, right? Because that's a multi-platform game.
I actually I do want to talk about this just super briefly, because it was an Xbox 360 exclusive, even though it also came out on PC. Call of Duty 2, which was another big launch title for the Xbox 360. Takes place in World War II, just like the first Call of Duty, just like Call of Duty 3 would. It was this period of time where Call of Duty was not just a war shooter game; it was just a World War II shooter like series. You know, so Call of Duty 2.
I was a big fan of that. I was just a big fan of these old Call of Duties. I played them.
Me too.
I actually really enjoyed the story modes on them.
Yeah, I loved Call of Duty 2. They always have you play like 2 or 3 different soldiers in the Allied forces, and so there's like you're always seeing different battles. That's why you can do Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, World at War, World War II. They've done like 5 or 6 World War II Call of Duties now, and they can all show like different battles and stuff because there's so much content there. in World War II. But yeah, this one was cool because it was the game to play online when the 360 came out. I think when you bought it on launch, if you weren't playing Halo 2, which was backward compatible, you were playing like Call of Duty 2 or maybe Perfect Dark. But I think people fell off Perfect Dark pretty quickly. But we'll talk about the Call of Duty series in a future episode dedicated to this generation.
Yeah, we can't talk about it now because it's on everything. It kind of took over everything after this. I want to talk about Dead or Alive 4 because I looked up a couple stuff about it. That's the next exclusive. This came out on December 29, 2005. For anyone out there who's a date nerd and wants to know about dates, you nerd. Okay.
Not a launch title.
Not a launch title. This game, part of a Dead or Alive series, which is a fighting genre game. We've talked about it before. I don't really play fighting games. I don't think Tyler really plays fighting games that much. Nope. But this one had a cool thing in their characters. So they had 3 new playable characters. Kokoro, who is a young geisha in training. Elliot, a 16-year-old boy. And then Lisa, who's a female lucha libre wrestler, which I thought was pretty cool. And by Elliot, by the way, is a 16-year-old boy from England, and he's like trained by a guy named Jen Fu. He's not just some random 16-year-old boy they pulled off the street and put into a fighting game. But the big thing about Dead or Alive 4 is there's an unlockable character, a female Spartan super soldier by the name of Spartan 458. There was a Halo crossover in this game. Is that
Linda? Is that her name, Linda?
It's Nicole is her real name.
Nicole.
Yeah.
Linda's in something else.
There was even a Halo-themed stage that was Nassau Station, which I believe...
Ooh.
Is that the one in Halo that has the giant wheel in it?
Is that the same level?
There's
Zanzibar in Halo 2 that has the giant wheel.
That's Zanzibar. That's what I'm thinking of. Nassau Station must be the space station that's above Earth. That's like orbiting Earth, I think. Yeah, but I think it's pretty cool they put a Spartan. Anytime they do crossover stuff like this, I think it's really cool. So that's what this game... I mean, that's what's cool about it to me. It's probably way more about this game, and if you played fighting games a lot, you're probably screaming at me like there's so much more. But I just wanted to say, love the whole Halo crossover. Big fan.
Yeah.
So
next game on the list, I want to talk a little bit about Final Fantasy XI. We've talked about it a little bit on the show before, I think, when we were talking about PS2 games, so I won't go too deep. Final Fantasy XI, MMORPG, very old school MMORPG, pre-WoW MMORPG, so it was like not very user-friendly. Very fun. I loved the PS2 version back in the day, but what's notable about Final Fantasy XI on the Xbox 360 is that it is the first... To my knowledge, the first console game with crossplay between consoles. So if you were playing Final Fantasy XI online, you could be playing with PC players, you could be playing with PS2 players, which is pretty neat and very notable, I think. You also did not need an Xbox Live Gold subscription because you had to pay a subscription fee to play this game, so they didn't want to charge you 2 subscription fees to play this game online. Something that Phantasy Star Online for the original Xbox would also do. I don't think you had to have Xbox Live to play that online if you were paying the subscription fee.
I like it when they do it. No one wants to pay a double subscription fee. I almost said prescription fee. I'm prescribing you Final Fantasy XI, Tyler, for loneliness.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's really cool, though. I think it's better to have those because I feel like already MMORPGs on consoles are tricky.
Yeah.
And if you're going to double the fee, it's going to kill it. Like, I think that kind of happened to Elder Scrolls Online at first. People were pretty bummed about it because they're like, it's free to play, but you really should pay for the subscription fee if you want to get access to way more. It like boosts you so much faster at first, at least when the game came out. And it's like, I don't know. So
yeah, feels bad.
Yeah.
I guess I should note that Quake 3 on the Dreamcast could play with PC players, but there was no like console crossplay. You couldn't play with Quake 3 players on the PS2, and I don't think PS2 players could play with PC players. So there were a couple of games like that, but
if you played against PC characters, they'd have a mouse and keyboard, and you get your butt kicked.
Yeah,
no one wants to talk about that. About getting your butt kicked. That's upsetting.
Yeah.
Okay, next game. Looked it up. What did they do to Bomberman in Bomberman Act Zero? Have you seen it? They tried
Bomberman Act Zero is nuts. As a huge fan of Bomberman 64 on the Nintendo 64 and various other incarnations of Bomberman, I really liked Bomberman GB for the Game Boy as well. I was super stoked to hear about Bomberman Act Zero. I was like, yes, I would love another Bomberman game. And then I saw the cover, and it is like, it's not your cool, cute, cartoony Bomberman. It's like
no, he's like it's like creepy, weird, like Mad Max Bomberman kind of.
yeah, like
it's
super
really
grim
weird.
dark. Like we're taking ourselves super seriously. But then the gameplay, as far as I know, is still kind of classic Bomberman gameplay.
Yeah, it looks like the same old Bomberman, like top down, running around, running amok with bombs, like you do. But
Yeah.
it's just got this weird art style that it was a choice they made, and I think they realized that choice was not great. On Metacritic, it's got a 34 of 100,
Yeah,
so I think
did not review well.
do well. No, it's just it's one of the negative things they say in this article. It's like long loading times, bad collision detection, forgettable soundtrack. Yikes! Ouch!
Yikes! Ouch!
Yeah. Also, I added those in. That was me.
Oh,
that
I
wasn't
was
even.
like,
that
oh,
was
man.
reading those. Oh, apparently it says there's also a lack of a save feature. That's pretty boring.
Oh,
It's pretty.
jeez.
Yeah, if you're going to be an Xbox 360 game coming out in the 2000s, kind of need to save it. Yeah, I saw the cover of this when I looked it up, and I was like, "What have they done to my precious, adorable Bomberman?" Oh, I had Bomberman as a Game Boy Color game, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
but it was like
it
a
Bomberman GB? Where
I
he's
think
like Indiana Jones Bomberman?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game's awesome.
That game is so sick. Oh man. Yeah, it's also weird that they tried to be like, let's move it to Xbox 360 and make it all serious. But I guess that's kind of what Xbox did. They're like, we're the cool serious. We got Halo, where you could blow each other up. It's super realistic. Let's make Bomberman like that. And everyone's like, no, let's keep it cute. Okay, with Bomberman, got to keep it cute. So yeah, this game came out. It was an exclusive. Bad reception. Gameplay was, as far as I know, the same, but not well done and weird art style.
Yeah, like you could get over it if it was like an exceptionally good Bomberman game, but
Yeah, the art, it's just why try to fix something that isn't broken, I guess is how I would put it. Yeah,
this is one of those games that I would like put on a list of like old crappy games that like somebody who is a streamer should like go back and play just to like see
like,
just
what
like,
have
just
they
like
done?
experience it. Yeah, exactly.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
So the next one on here, you want to do the next one?
Yeah, we marked this as an exclusive in our notes, but it's far from that. In fact, it is probably the least exclusive of all the video games in existence. But the Xbox 360 does have an excellent port of Doom.
Yeah, and we know Tyler loves Doom, and we can't skip around Doom if we're not gonna. Tyler will cry.
Doom
You don't want to
and
see
Doom 2
Tyler
as well.
cry.
Yeah, Mike said, "Hey, we don't need to talk about Doom this time," and I go like, "Go get puppy dog eyes," and I got
He
real
did.
sad.
It was really sad. It was like the face of the dog in Up, and I just couldn't. I said, "Of course we're gonna talk about Doom, buddy." I'm so sorry.
It's
Your
okay.
glowing
I love
appearance.
Doom. I love Doom 2. These are probably the best way to play it. I think they play on Xbox One, so they're awesome. It's Doom. There's not a whole lot to say there, but they're great.
Not a whole lot to say, except you should be playing it.
Except you should be playing it.
Because if you're not playing it, what are you even doing?
My
I don't
personal.
know.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna skip ahead, but you got something to say about
Well,
Doom. You skip about Doom.
No,
Talk
I
about
was
Doom.
ready to move on. Also, I have.
I don't know anything about this next game.
I do because it's my favorite puzzle game of all time.
Ooh.
Luminous Live came out on the Xbox Live Arcade, and it's basically the same game that came out on the PSP. It's like a puzzle game that I would personally rate higher than Tetris. In my opinion,
that's big
'Cause
words.
It's very musical based, and it's just like you want to play sort of with the rhythm. But basically, it revolves around you get 2x2 blocks with two colors in them, and you're trying to make 2x2 blocks of the same color. And then there periodically a vertical line will go across the whole game board and delete everything that you have made into a solid color box, 2x2 box or bigger. So you can do 2x3 box or even larger. You can rack up some pretty sweet combos, and then it clears them out, and then the rest are what you have to work with now. And you basically like Tetris, you're trying to just keep clearing things and not fill the whole screen up.
Yeah, this game looks
the
cool.
way it integrates music into like the movement of the pieces, and when you drop pieces, it like just works. It perfectly times with the. It's like really good. There's some really good music going on in there. So it's on several different things. It's on PSP is where it first came out. It's on 360 obviously. I think it's also on Steam. And it plays on the Xbox One. It's very good. There was going to be an iOS version. I feel like
the first thing I thought of when I saw this was like, this would be a great iOS game, especially with like people who are not in like our demographic of dudes who play video games, loving puzzle games like Candy Crush and stuff. Like, why not make a game like that for this?
Yep.
It's like
It's awesome.
It's the place to go for microtransactions.
Yeah.
For puzzle games.
Back in the day, they hadn't discovered microtransactions yet.
It was a better time. It was
really a better time. You paid $10 for your game, and that's what you got.
And then you played it, and it was fun, and it was fantastic. Oh, microtransactions. How you destroy me. Are you ready to move on to the next exclusive, Tyler?
I am ready to move on to the next exclusive.
Gears of War, released on November 7th, 2006. You ready to hear something about me, Tyler?
I am ready to hear something about you.
Never.
You're a professional Gears of War player?
No, I'm a professional Jaybird player. The way Masters play. The Jaybird Championship Series, if you haven't heard.
Of course.
Yes,
I have, in fact, heard. I have heard of the JBCS.
The JBCS. But I never played Gears of War. I picked it up a couple times when my friends were on a couch and I would play it, but I never progressed. I just kind of played as a side character and like didn't really know what was going on. I need to play these games. And with Game Pass, I can. And I think you and I should play these games together.
We could co-op it. The first one has a remake, like a remastered version for the Xbox One. We should co-op this.
We should co-op
this. I think I can play on PC and you can play on your Xbox. Oh, dude, we're making plans now. This is
even more fun. I am so excited. And we can do that and we can come back and talk about it even more. But Tyler, you sounded excited about this game. Did you play this game a lot?
I wouldn't say I played it a lot, but what's notable about the first Gears of War in particular, Gears of War, if you don't know, takes place post-apocalyptic world where the Earth has been overrun by aliens.
Are they like worm aliens or something, or bugs?
Yeah, they're called Locust, and they're kind of bug aliens, and they've taken over the world. And it's a third-person shooter. It's very grim dark. The signature thing about this game is there's one gun that has a chainsaw on it, and so there's like really bloody, gross chainsaw kills that you can do where it plays like a cutscene. You kill a thing with chainsaw. It's really gross.
But it's aliens, so it's not bad.
Yeah, right. It's
the ESRB says if you kill aliens, you're fine.
That's right. Well, it's still rated M, I think. So the ESRB doesn't care. Between humans.
Are they full of swears? Is that why it's that?
It is also full of swears, yeah.
Oh, never mind. I can't play this game anymore,
because it's post-apocalypse, people swearing. I know. Well, I'll bleep them out for you.
Oh, thank you. There's no one patrolling what they say. I can't play this.
But it's made by Epic Games, previously of Unreal and Unreal Tournament fame, contemporarily famous from Fortnite.
I was wondering. I was like, do they have a game that's really big right now?
yeah, they're doing okay right now.
Yeah, I think they're doing fine.
Epic Games makes the Unreal Engine, which is probably, previously to Fortnite, I would say the Unreal Engine is where most of their money comes from because so many games use the Unreal Engine and they just pay royalties and Epic doesn't have to do anything but continue making this engine. Anyway, Gears of War is great. What's notable about Gears of War, though, is because at this point in time, we still didn't have a Halo game on the Xbox 360. We're in November 7th, 2006. We have no Halo game still. Yeah, people are still playing Halo 2 online, and it's the most played game on Xbox Live. The first game to unseat Halo 2 as most played game on Xbox Live. Go ahead, take a guess.
Is it Echo the Dolphin, the arcade version?
Yes, but then they removed the Xbox Live capability from that game, and Gears of War is the one that ended up usurping Halo 2's throne on Xbox Live at the time.
I have a thing I'm going to ask you if I'm going to vote on it. Can we add an ETDCS for Echo the Dolphin Championship Series? That'll be maybe like a satellite of Jaybird Championship Series?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, just wanted to be clear. All right, good to know.
Yeah. We got the JBCS and we got the ETDCS.
Okay, I'm going to throw out something actually about Gears of War to you. I do know the names of the main character. It's Marcus Phoenix, right? That's his name. Correct. And I know, isn't the big thing about Gears of War, as you progress in the stories of the first and the second, you get really close to these characters. It does a really good job of making
It is a pretty story-driven game.
Yeah, which I do. It's funny because I never played this because I like that story-driven stuff, and I never played this game. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, well, we should totally play the remastered version.
I would love to do it. I would love to. I might even try to get me $1 a month Game Pass tonight and try to download that game. All right, sorry to interrupt you so much during this whole thing. I just got so excited. Okay.
Totally fine. Anyway, Gears of War, very important because it's the first, not first, but it's like a milestone in Xbox Live achievement because it beat out Halo 2, which was still the biggest game 2 years later. It was still the most played game on Xbox Live.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. That people were still just because you think a new system, we're just moving on to the next game, but nope, not Halo players. They're like, this is the best. We're going to keep playing it until something better comes out. Yep. I like that. I like that a lot. Are we
Totally
talking about
right.
the next one on the list, or that's not an exclusive? But it is the last of a genre of that game for a while.
Oh, you're talking about Call of Duty 3?
Yeah, it's the last World War II Call of Duty for quite a long time.
For 2 years, because World at War came out.
Oh, World at War was only 2 years later? I thought it was longer than that. Oh, well, that's just me. Well, then never mind. It's not worth our time. Let's move on.
Moving on to Crackdown.
Yeah, who wants to be a future cop?
Me. Crackdown 3 just came out. I just finished downloading it because it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, this is another one of those exclusives that I just completely missed the boat on, but I've heard so much about. Because you're essentially a cop with like a future mech suit, right? And you just do crazy cool stuff in this open game world.
Yeah.
You fight crimes.
And you jump really high and super fun. And Terry Crews is in the third one.
There's a lot of superhero dropping down where you land and you like punch the ground, you know, like that kind of thing.
And you hurt your knee really bad.
Yeah, your knee hurts. And then the guys are like, hey, man, you're a cop. Now the city's got to pay for that. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't even think about that. The taxes are going into this. But it's like a futuristic police game. Super fun. I just remember it being like the kind of game that you can sit down and just play around in. Like the sandbox was really good.
Yeah.
That's what Crackdown was known for.
This game came out in February of 2007. What I remember being notable about this game and why I think this game in particular sold as well as it did, because the game itself, from what I remember, is it's cool. It's a neat idea. It's like kind of fun, but like ultimately it's not like the greatest thing in the world. But it sold really well because if you bought Crackdown, you got access to the Halo 3 beta that summer.
Whoa. So not only was
Which
it
was
a good
big
game,
deal.
It was also a beta opener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people were buying Crackdown
Keymaster.
just so they could play that Halo 3 beta.
That's it. You know what? Solid on you, Microsoft. You know how to do some marketing. I feel you.
Yep. So that's what I remember from that anyway.
There's a game right here that I don't know anything about. Alien Hominid.
Yes, it's called Alien Hominid. I don't know a ton about it. It's like a platforming 2D side-scrolling kind of cartoony, has a really neat art style. But what's cool about this game is it was originally a Flash game, like on all those old Flash websites. You could play Alien Hominid like with your keyboard and mouse.
Oh,
and
it
was
made
fun.
it into an arcade.
Yeah, and they went to those guys and they were like, "Hey, you guys made a pretty cool Flash game. You want to make a real game?" And they were like, "You bet we do." So they made Alien Hominid HD for the Xbox 360.
I feel like we're going to have to at some point do an entire episode on indie video games and how they've become so big simply because of like
paradoxically almost.
Yeah, because of Xbox Live's arcade program.
Yeah.
That kind of brought it into the light of day because Steam sure enough had it on there, but Xbox Live was what made them really like, wow, this is a thing that people are making games and making money off of them too.
Well, and at this point in time too, Steam was not what it is now. Like, remember, Steam only had Valve games for until 2006.
Oh,
like, it really was just a way to play Half-Life and Counter-Strike pretty much for a while.
The best way and the only way, but the best way. Do you want to talk about Guitar Hero now or later? I know it's a big part of your life and it's important to you.
We could do a whole episode on rhythm games of the 2000s, so we should probably skip this.
That might be one of the first ones that I kind of want to do when we're done with the timeline, just because it's something that we both have spent a lot of time in, and I love these games so much, and I know you love these games so much too. So, and it's also really weird that this was a fad that just busted relatively quickly that we thought was going to be. It was like if all of a sudden Battle Royales just stopped being a thing a month from now, you'd be like, wait, what? Yeah. It's like that. So
it was very, very fast. Okay, next exclusive on the list, Forza Motorsport 2, and it is pronounced Forza. I figured that out.
I did not know that
a few days ago. Yeah, it's not Forza, it is Forza.
Did you say Forza and then someone came up to you and was like, actually it's Forza, and then they just walked away?
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. And I was like, wow, that was really rude. And then I looked it up online later and it was like, yep.
And then you're like, never going to that Red Robin again.
Yeah, I was like, dang, and that was a server too, and so I looked it up at the table, and when he was right, I gave him a big tip, obviously, but
that's a 30% tipper right there.
Yeah,
10% pronunciation bonus. Good on you.
Yes, that's right. So Forza Motorsport 2 racing game. It's basically more of the first Forza. So if you really like the first one, second one is more of that. And I think they sort of continue that way. And I'm sure fans of the series can point out all the differences and why one's better than the other. I'm not really a racing game guy. I don't really know the difference, but better graphics on 360, it's great.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also that was the Xbox competitor to Gran Turismo, and I think this is kind of when Forza was starting to just get just as good. Forza was starting to just get as good as Gran Turismo, and everyone's like, "Oh wait!" And then this is kind of where Forza pulled away from it. Yep. Sound good? Yeah. So
sounds great.
We finally did it. We got to September 25th, 2007, the day of days.
What happened on September 25th, 2007?
A tiny indie video game came out called Halo 3.
Oh, does that mean there was a 1 and 2 also?
Yeah, there was a 1 and 2. They were kind of sleeper hits, I think is how you describe. We should stop saying sarcasm. Halo 3 came out and it was amazing and it was everything you wanted it to be, and it's probably still my favorite Halo.
It's pretty strong.
It's because it had the balance of the story being great, because I love a good Halo campaign. I've been a big fan of Halo. My favorite campaign is probably Halo 1, just because that was the first one and the mood in it's so great. My favorite multiplayer is Halo 3, I think. Halo 3 got that Halo 1 right, I feel like. You know, it kind of, it really... Because it just kind of added, like, it was Halo 1 was great. Halo 2 added the beam sword and, like, really got it going. And Halo 3 was when you're like, oh, man, they're really doing stuff. And then Halo 4 is when they started to kind of change it. And you're like, what are you guys doing? Go back to Halo 3. Like, that's kind of
Halo 3 had sort of the Call of Duty, like, unlockable thing going on.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just...
Halo 3 had a ranking system, didn't it? Maybe 2 did also.
Yeah, Halo 3 had ranked matches. It had... one thing that I loved is I would still play the... Like, we'd put, like, too many people on a screen and play online. Like, I would do that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, where you're like, why are we doing this split screen online like this?
It would be Catamaran, Catamaran 2, Catamaran 3, Catamaran 4.
It was just so much fun, though. I was just a big fan of it. So, I mean, Halo 3 also, it was like right before, I think it's fun to me because this was right before my friends all switched to Call of Duty.
Oh.
And I was still a big Halo
like very
guy.
shortly after Halo 3 came out is when...
Yeah,
Call of Duty would come out, right?
I was a big I still am a big Halo guy. Like, whenever a new Halo comes out, I'm like, I'm gonna play it. You know, I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna play it for keeps because I love this game. But my friends all switched over to Duty, and I remember actually asking them if they wanted to play Halo 3, and they're like, "No, we're gonna play Duty." And I'm like, "Okay, guys, well, I'll see you guys later." Just like being super sad, just like, "Oh man." Halo
Charlie
3.
Brown.
I think my friend actually gave me his metal jacket special edition copy of Halo 3 that had like the DVD in it. Yeah, and then I remember having it and then the disc broke.
Oh.
Like I think the DVD was broken or something and then the disc broke. I was so bummed out, dude.
Man.
I don't even know how it happened either. It was in a metal case. How does a disc break? I don't know. But it was super fun game. Really into it. Overshadowed by Call of Duty eventually, but people that love Halo 3, I think.
Halo 3 is kind of widely... Halo 3 and also Reach. I want to say Reach also, but
you know,
they were kind of widely considered to be...
I was so excited.
Some of the best.
I'm so excited to talk about Reach on here because I played Reach relatively recently for the first time. I beat Reach last year because I never played it.
Oh, me too, actually. Oops.
Oh, yeah.
I beat it like 6 months ago even. Like, it was like not that long ago.
It was heart-wrenching. Okay, we got to wait till we get to it in the timeline, though, because, gosh, it's so good. The next game I want to talk about, because I liked Ace Combat 4 Shattered Skies so much, Ace Combat 6 Fires of Liberation was an exclusive to the Xbox 360, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. But because I'm like, why would they make this? This game seems like a multi-plat, and I remember playing Ace Combat 4 on PlayStation or PlayStation 2.
Yeah, PlayStation 2 had, was it Shattered Skies? Was that Ace Combat 4?
Shattered Skies. That was the one I played.
That's the only one I know anything about. My brother loved that game.
Ace Combat 7 just came out, and I am definitely going to pick it up when it gets cheaper. It's like I have a couple games on my when it gets cheaper list. One of those is Jurassic Park Evolution because I love me some dinosaurs, but I don't want to pay $60 for it. There's no way. So I'm just waiting those out. But Ace Combat 6 was interesting because it brought back the whole story and stuff, and it had some cool DLC. But Namco designed a joystick system specifically for Ace Combat 6 called the Ace Edge. It was a joystick on the right and a throttle on the left, like a plane, like a legitimate, like you're sitting in a plane. It had that kind of control. And it was, you got it when you purchased a special edition of the game, but this price just by itself sold for $150. And I think it's really cool because, you know, flight sims are a big deal. like people really get into flight sims as like a hobby. I actually know a comedian who's really into flight sims as a hobby, and he's got the whole thing set up where he's like got a chair and it looks like you're in a cockpit. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's like it almost looks like it's like, wow, you could have bought a real plane for that much money.
It's like exactly. It's like you just cut a plane, you just cut the cockpit off a plane and stuck it in your house is what it looks like. But
yeah.
It's cool to me that they did this for just one game, and that's why I think it's worth talking about. And also it's weird too that a multi-plat then became an exclusive, which has happened it happens quite a bit actually, probably, where a multi-platform will switch for a sequel to be an exclusive and everyone's like, what the deuce, why did you do that? But
yeah, it has happened. I feel
it's important to note. And the game actually it has a pretty good score. It's got I think, what is it on Metacritic? I think it's got here we go. It has an 80 out of 100. So that's a pretty good game.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Ace Combat games, they never really are poorly reviewed. That's one thing about them is they're actually usually pretty good. And I do like the whole story of this fake war going on in this magical, like it's like realistic now timeline, but it's in a fantasy world, I guess. So the countries are all different and look the same. But it's really nice. And this game is great.
That's cool.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying, it kind of reminds me of the you're saying a controller made for a specific game. Kind of reminds me of Steel Battalion for the original Xbox, where it had that mech controller that was just for that game.
I didn't know about this.
Oh yeah, did we not talk about Steel Battalion?
We might not have talked about Steel Battalion.
No. Anyway,
man,
Steel Battalion, it was a mech game for the original Xbox that was like $200 because it came with a sweet like mech controller that had pedals and like you held onto the joysticks.
I am looking at photos of it. It looks dope. It looks like
it's sweet.
Oh man, and you're sitting in a mech. That's so neat. Oh gosh, I want this. I want this now. I want this in my life. Okay, you want to play the game of how much is it on eBay real quick?
For Steel Battalion, $299, $300 right now. I bet.
Okay,
because I think it went up in price.
There's one unopened. You ready for the unopened price?
Oh, unopened at like $1,000.
$1,500, $1,499.
Wow.
The Steel Battalion. Oh man, yeah, just a used Steel Battalion controller is $425 used. That's crazy. Guess I'm not getting that. There's some foot pedals though. You can find them separate though. You can find there's 8 original screws for Steel Battalion controllers. Someone's just selling the screws for the controller. Wow. This is so neat. Whenever they do, it's like when I talked about the PlayStation 2 and my brother had the wheel for Gran Turismo. It's such a dumb little thing to like immerse you in, but it's so fun. Like I still loved even like as simple as the Wii. Using the Wii wheel for Mario Kart. That was so fun. Just a big fan of bringing the arcade to home is kind of what they're doing, and I like it.
Yep.
So that's Ace Combat 6 Fire's Liberation and bonus Steel Battalion.
All right. Shall we move on?
Oh, yeah.
We're in February of 2008 now. This was a time period, 2008, it was a year where Microsoft said, you know what? We're not doing so hot in Japan. What kind of game do they like to play in Japan? Well, they like to play role-playing games, specifically of the Japanese variety. And Microsoft said, hey, we don't have any JRPGs. We should probably do something about that. So they released several games. They released a game called, in 2008 specifically, they released Lost Odyssey. They released Infinite Undiscovery, and they released Last Remnant. They had also, I'm not sure if it's on our list here, let me do a quick Google because they also released a game called Blue Dragon, which came out a few months before that. So like this period of time, there's like an 18-month period where Microsoft was like, yo, we are all about making the JRPGs. So we are on Lost Odyssey, which was a very traditional, like turn-based kind of Final Fantasy-esque game with 3 discs. It was like felt very much like a Final Fantasy game, and it had a cool storyline. I didn't really play it, so I can't talk a whole lot about it, but I do think it's interesting to talk about those 3 games specifically because they're all kind of JRPGs in their own way. Infinite Undiscovery is a little bit more action-y, and so is Last Remnant than Lost Odyssey. But this was like when Microsoft was like, we really need to start selling well in Japan, and it didn't really work because none of those games were particularly good.
Yeah, they've never
Infinite Undiscovery in particular was not good. I played it for like 10 or 15 hours probably in college, and it was pretty not great.
Was it like the story that you think was bad, or was it just like the everything about it, like gameplay and everything?
Yeah, Infinite Undiscovery in particular had this weird like music motif going on where all of the moves were named after like musical things, and it wasn't very good. I don't know. It was 10 years ago that I played it, so like I don't really know how to describe it today, but I remember it being not super great. So,
well, that's a bummer, but nice try, Microsoft. I guess we'll just say that.
Yeah, they tried. In 2008, they tried.
All right,
I think Blue Dragon did a little bit better, and it got an HD re-release. And Lost Odyssey is an okay game as far as I know, and it plays on the Xbox One backward compatibility. So,
all right, well, we're gonna get into this next one, and it's a big one. It's a real big one.
Oh boy,
it is Fable 2. I love Fable. Do you love Fable?
Tell me about Fable, Mike.
Fable is essentially you like playing. It's kind of just like a path of a hero. You know what I mean? Like, and it's very linear, but I remember you kind of go back to this central hub as you'd go back and forth between missions and stuff. But I'm trying to remember Fable 2. Did it have the same element to it, or were you kind of on your own in Fable 2? I remember Fable 3. No, wait. Was there a Fable 3? There wasn't a Fable 3.
There was a Fable 3, yeah.
There was? Okay, so
it
then
was very
I remember,
different, I think.
Yeah, I remember Fable 3, you could like buy houses and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So Fable 2 is the one I kind of forget about. But
that's the one that had the dog in it, didn't it?
Yes, and it's also... Oh, wait, this one, Fable 2, you're a different person. You're set 500 years after the original Fable in a colonial era resembling the time of highwaymen or the Enlightenment. That's what it says on the Wikipedia page for everyone. But Fable, the best part about Fable is as you do certain actions, your looks would change. So you would also it had a dope soundtrack by Danny Elfman. I should mention that. That's very important. Yeah, that Danny Elfman was like, I'm going to do a video game. That's so awesome. But it was very simple combat. It was like you'd kill guys, you'd get orbs, you'd pick them up. That would like renew your health, like that kind of stuff. But the thing I liked the most about it was this whole, like, you would go through this story, and as you referred to relationships and stuff, it would change the way you look. Like if you became evil, you'd grow horns. Or if you became good, you'd have like this aura around you. Also, it did say, yeah, you can have dogs in it. That's right.
Yeah.
And there was DLC that would make it so you could make your dog's breed change to either a Dalmatian, a Bloodhound, or a Husky.
That's cool.
Oh, here's a big fact about it. Cool thing about Fable 2, you could have same-sex marriages. Players could get married to anyone they want, and you could have children.
Very progressive.
Yeah, and you could divorce if you wanted to, too, which I'm like, okay, this is a little too real.
Also realistic.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think they kind of really took Fable 1 was super duper linear. I remember that. Fable 2, I think, kind of added a little bit more to it. And then when we get to Fable 3, it becomes extremely, like, open compared to Fables 1 and 2. It's way more open. But, yeah, I was a big fan of these games to the point where I'm like, why did they stop? Like, why couldn't they keep going? And I remember the narrative in betweens where like you'd have a narrator talk to you and like these pages would kind of turn. It was really fun. A really good story-driven game. Big fan. That was my 2 cents on it. Did you play the Fables at all?
No, I played the first one a little bit. I was interested in the second one. I remember like reading articles about it and stuff when I first started in college, and then being like, well, I can't afford this because I have no money because I'm in college. But so I never played the second one.
Big fan. Oh, and this one had co-op too. Forgot to mention that. That's kind of neat. I never got to use it. I played these games pretty much solo. These were games I would play when I was like at home in college at night, and I'd have like nothing to do, and I'm like, let's boot up Fable and just really go for it. And I had a really good time because it was just so fun. Such a big because this one didn't have the first game was the one that really had that like hero hub where you're like a hero in training, and this one is way past that. So a little bit more story, a little bit deeper. Like you're playing a protagonist by the name of Sparrow. That's what the kids name you. And you're like from poverty and you work your way up. It's very much you're becoming a hero. Like lift yourself up by your boots. Yeah, rags to riches, bootstraps, all that jazz. So yeah, it's a great game. But check out Fable 2, everybody.
All right.
The
Next game on the list, we can touch on just briefly. Gears of War 2. We already talked about Gears of War. It's more of that. It's great. It furthers the storyline. As far as I know, it doesn't do too much that like really breaks the mold here, but it's just more Gears of War. We are in November of 2008. Do you want to know what else came out in November of 2008, Mike?
What came out in November 2008?
Banjo-Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts.
Never played a Banjo-Kazooie game. This is my to your fable. This is mine.
Yeah.
Banjo-Kazooie.
So first of all, if you've never played a Banjo-Kazooie game, how dare you? Second of all,
I am a fool.
you really should play the first one at least, and it's on Xbox. That's the best way to play. It's awesome. Big fan, Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was a completely different genre of game. It had almost no platforming at all. What Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts' gimmick was, it was a racing sort of car driving hovercraft plane flying adventure game, but you got to build your own cars and boats and planes. And it wasn't the Banjo-Kazooie game that we all wanted. Everybody wanted Banjo 3E, right? They just wanted another platforming collectathon Banjo game, which is what we thought we were going to get at X06, which was Microsoft's game conference in 2006 when they showed a teaser for a Banjo-Kazooie game. What we got was Nuts and Bolts. It's not what we wanted, but man, it's a great game.
It's really cool, huh?
Building the cars and racing them and doing all those missions was so fun. It's like if it hadn't been a Banjo-Kazooie game and had been just anything else, it would have gotten a lot of praise, I think, just for being such a cool and unique game. But because it was a Banjo-Kazooie game, people were like, this isn't what I wanted. And so people didn't like it. But it was really good, totally worth playing. Also part of Rare Replay.
Oh. Dude, I need to get this. I mean, I'm going to get Rare Replay. I got to do it. There's so many games there.
Yeah,
it's going to be like one of those things
on Game Pass.
I should let you know, Tyler, that Fable Anniversary has been remade for Xbox Live and is Xbox One enhanced. So if you want to pick,
I have Fable Anniversary on Steam. I just never played it.
Yeah, the first Fable is up there and it is ready for you to go. So get that. It actually looks pretty good. I'm looking at screenshots of the re-enhanced version and it looks really good. Like they really went for it with the textures and stuff. So
great. Like what they did for Halo Anniversary?
Yeah, essentially.
Which was a really great remake of the original Halo.
We're going to talk about that soon. I'm excited.
We'll get there.
I don't know anything about... So Banjo-Kazooie also came out just as a remake, right? For
it was an Xbox Live Arcade game. I think you got it for free if you pre-ordered Nuts and Bolts, which I did as a Banjo-Kazooie super fan. And it's the best way to play Banjo-Kazooie. It's like there's a couple of it's widescreen, it's high res, it's whatever, but they did a couple of quality of life things. So in every level of Banjo-Kazooie, there are 100 musical notes that you need to get. And if you die, you have to start over. Or if you leave the world and come back, every time you come back to the world, you have to collect all the notes you already got again. If you're trying to get all 100, in the Xbox 360 version, if you collect a note, it's gone forever. You just get the ones that you missed. Because if you're going for your 100 note run, it was really frustrating to die and have to get all your notes again. So anyway, good quality of life thing. That's why it's the best version. Loved it. Banjo-Kazooie. Everybody should play it. If you haven't played it, please do. The next game on the list is not special in any way, but one way. It's called Dash of Destruction. Actually, it was called Doritos Dash of Destruction. And it was like an advertisement game for Doritos, and it was free, but it had 250 G's worth of gamer score you could get, and you could get it in 10 seconds. So everybody was downloading this game, which was great advertisement for Doritos. And it was like a stupid, you were in an RC car racing around in circles or whatever, doing stuff and blowing stuff up. And you could get your 250 G's of gamer score really quickly. And Doritos got a lot of free advertisement out of it. And it was great.
Yeah,
well, not free because they had to pay for the game to get made. But
I'm reading here. It says you can get 250 gamer score, all 12 achievements in under 20 minutes.
Yeah, I definitely did that.
You did it?
Oh, yeah.
Is it still, you probably still can't get the game, can you?
I don't think you can anymore. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I definitely did it when it first came out. It was okay. It was kind of fun. Anyway, it's not really notable for any reason other than that.
Worth talking about,
because I think since then, Microsoft has been like, hey, if your game is free, there's no gamer score in it for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Not
I
even
think so.
like those Neverwinter Nights or those big RPGs and stuff.
Well, those are a little bit different. Like free to play is a little bit different, I guess. But like games like this that were clearly just like a cash grab, or like we're gonna throw out gamer score as like a way to get you to play the game. It's like that's not the right way to do gamer score.
Yeah, I'm looking right now in the Xbox Live Marketplace to see if you can even purchase it anymore. I don't think. Oh wait. It says it's free. It says you can download it.
Ooh, maybe.
But you have to play it on 360 though. You can't play it on any. You can't play it on one.
Not backward compatible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Which I mean, I get why. That's
Yeah.
funny. That's really funny that it's there. Cool. Well, so Dash of Destruction. I think the next game's kind of important because it's definitely when this came out, I was very surprised. Halo Wars.
Oh, yeah.
For Xbox 360, it's a real-time strategy game on console, which apparently was actually okay.
Yeah, it was very simplistic as far as real-time strategy games went. Like, there was not a whole lot of different kinds of resources and stuff. Like, it was definitely kind of like my first RTS, but it was really good, really well polished, and it played awesome on a controller.
Oh, which is the important thing, I think. You have to like be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it's pretty. I mean, that's the whole thing about RTSs is everyone's like, it's a mouse and keyboard only medium. And then this is like, no, we can prove you wrong. And they had a Civilization game come out on Xbox 360 as well.
Oh, yeah, Civilization Revolution.
Yeah, and that one, I think that was kind of the issue with that is it was like, I don't know if this plays that great, so who knows?
Yeah, well, Civilization's a little bit different too because it's turn-based, so there isn't a lot of like reaction time necessary. You just have to be able to get to your things. But with Halo Wars, it was all real time, so you needed to be able to do things quickly. And so they did a great job with the controller mappings for it. It has been remastered for Xbox One and Windows PC with the Halo Wars 2 stuff. It's all on Game Pass now, I think.
Yeah, I didn't even know they made a second one.
It's really fun on PC because you can actually use mouse and keyboard.
I didn't know they made a second one.
Yeah, it came out like a year ago, I want to say. Like, it's pretty new still.
That's awesome. Well, that makes me... Yeah, it's Xbox Play Anywhere. I'm happy that they did that.
Yeah.
That's neat. Well, the next one is obviously your bag right now.
Oh, yeah. Banjo-Tooie. Actually, so for all the game that I talk about, Banjo-Kazooie, and how much I love it, I have never finished Banjo-Tooie. I didn't love it. And it's like more an expanded upon the original game. And like I just didn't, I don't know, there's something about it just didn't do it for me. So anyway, I think we talked about it during our N64 episode, so we don't need to go too deep. But it is the best way to play Banjo-Tooie if you're looking for that.
Get on the Xbox game. Next game, Halo 3 ODST, Orbital Drop Strike Trooper. That's what it stands for, I think, right? I'm going
Orbital
off the
Drop
dome
Shock Trooper.
Shock Trooper. Oh, great game. Amazing music. Really good
Tell
music.
me about it, Mike.
This game is so much. It introduced their horde mode, which I think was called Firefight, right? Mm-hmm. It introduced that, which was really fun to play with your friends. But the single player mode of you dropping in, like you crash in, you're in that drop pod, it doesn't go the way you want it to, and you got to find your way back and save people at the same time. It's like the whole game is the second level of Halo 1, where you're exploring this town, fighting Covenant, saving people. The whole story is this is during the Covenant invasion of Earth, and you're just
like between Halo 2 and 3, right?
Yeah, and you're just a random ODST guy dropped in New Mombasa, I think is where you drop in. I could be wrong on that. I think
that sounds right.
Yeah, but you're in like the urban area of the city, and it's nighttime, and it's just really, really awesome. I mean, it gave me this feeling when I was playing it where you feel super alone. And it's a really cool feeling. It's all on you. You don't have a shield. You're not a Spartan. You're not invincible. You're just a guy. And I think that's what makes it so much more fun.
I need to play that still, actually. That's one I've never played.
It came out, if you have the Master Chief Collection, it was added on as a free download. So
I have to be playing that.
Also, I was right. It was New Mombasa. No big deal. Nerd cred just went way up in my own book. So
nice.
I think you're just instead. I'm trying to see what the character's name is, but I don't even think he really has a name. I think it's just like you're just a guy. You're known as the Rookie. That's it. They call you the Rookie.
The Rookie.
And you're trying to find your missing teammates. So that's the whole game is that, and you're just going through. But yeah, here's another thing that was kind of interesting about it. It has multiplayer modes on a different disc, which I thought was weird.
Oh, and it was like if you pop that disc in, you could play with Halo 3 players, right? It was like Halo 3 plus the firefight mode.
It added 3 maps. It added Citadel, Heretic, and Longshore, along with the Halo 3 maps. So it also had a version of Forge on it too, which is the thing I've never really played around with in any Halo game is Forge. And I know it's a big thing to play with. People really like Forge, and I've never messed with it. That's like the map making mode in Halo. Have you ever played with it?
No, I never really played with the Forge that much, actually. But I know it got more and more impressive with like Halo 4's Forge was better. Halo 5's Forge is on PC.
Oh, wow. Cool. So you can really go down on it. Yes, computer processing power. But yeah, ODST is a great game. You know what? It's really close to being like one of my favorite Halo universe games, which is weird because you're not even Chief. But just the whole idea of this offshoot story where you're just an ODST trying to find your teammates is so good. And it's got that Reach vibe to it too, where you really like care about your teammates and you want to find them. Oh, beautiful game. 10 out of 10 would play again. Let's move on, because we're really burning through time here.
I feel it has like a Metroid feel to it too, with the loneliness, I think, is what I remember people describing it as.
Gosh, you're so great. I'm so glad you're here. Forza Motorsport 3. It's a racing game. Forza.
Forza. Yeah, it's more. There isn't a whole lot to say here. It's more of that. I'm sure many improvements were made. If you're a big fan of racing, it has it all. You can definitely race in it.
You know what it's like, Tyler, to say Forza?
What's it like?
It's like we're sitting in a fort and we're waiting for some pizza or some za. That's how you remember. Forza.
Yeah, Forza.
All right, that's good. We're going to move on. Sorry, Forza fans.
Yeah.
We're moving on.
If you're a big Forza fan and you want us to say something about it, shoot us an email, codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com.
I'm so happy you did that. You know, I like that you did that throw out. You know, I love it. I love it, Tyler.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the next game? We kind of foreshadowed it a bit, and by a bit, I mean a lot.
Yeah. This is considered by some to be the true Halo 4 because it was the last Halo game made by Bungie, Halo Reach.
Ooh, some nerds get real uptight about this game. By the way, I feel bad for Greg Hastings' Paintball or Cabela's North American Adventures because they also came out when Halo Reach came out.
Whoops.
Poor timing on Activision's part.
Mm-hmm.
I love Halo Reach. It takes that ODST story of like going through and like finding your teammates. This takes it to a whole new level where you really, really care about your team because you start with them and then you, spoilers, slowly watch them die.
Yeah, because it takes place before all of Halo. In Halo lore, there's a big event known as the Fall of Reach, which is like a planet where they I guess they train Spartans there or something like that. It's a very important planet or facility, Reach is. And Halo Reach is all about like first contact with the Covenant and the Covenant showing up and basically just destroying everything.
They glass the planet, right? Isn't that what they call it? Yeah.
Yeah, they glass the whole planet. And while you're playing the game, if you know a little bit about Halo lore, you know what's coming. You know this isn't a surprise when everything just goes like straight downhill. So you play it knowing that you're like resistance is futile kind of thing, and then there's some really good scenes at the end where basically you watch everybody die, which is like super morbid and bad, but they're really well done scenes anyway.
Oh yeah, Halo Reach, it's a great game. It had really fun multiplayer too.
Yeah.
And yeah, some Bungie diehards, this is their game. They're like, how dare you say Halo 4 was Halo 4? This is Halo 4. We love it.
Yep.
So the next game, well, I have 4 games selected here, and they are Connectimals, Connect Sports, Connect Joyride, and Connect Adventures. They're exclusives because they came out for the Connect. I feel like a lot of them were like trying to be Wii games.
Yeah.
Especially Connect Sports, because it's not even trying. It's just calling itself sports. But they use that motion capture technology with the Kinect we talked about last episode. I never really played them. I actually had a 360 Kinect my brother gave me because he got it as a gift. And he's like, I don't ever use it. Do you want to mess with it? And I was like, yeah. And I ended up selling it to a guy for like $100. And this was like relative. This was like like a year ago.
Because they kind of $100. That seems like a good price for something.
Yeah,
like that.
because they stopped making them. So he was like, "Yeah, I want one." And I'm like, "Dude, it's never even been opened. I've never even plugged it in." And he's like, "Oh." So he was getting a scream of a deal, and I was just like,
he was like a collector trying to get a cool thing.
He had kids, and he was like, "I wanted to get the game because the Kinect game is for my kids." And I'm like, "Dude, hell yeah, here you go. You play this." I met him at a grocery store in Burbank, and I was like, "Here it is, man." And I had never felt more good about selling something that I've literally never used in my entire life, and he was more than willing to pay the money for it. So I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome." And I don't think it was a bad price, because I think this was after they really stopped making them, and it was just the same price to find it, and you couldn't find it new anywhere. So
yeah,
pretty good price. But yeah, we have to talk about those because they're Kinects, they're exclusives. Not really my bag, not really Tyler's bag, I'm guessing either. But if you were a fan of a dance game, it was probably your bag, because dancing games were all the rage then. So
yep.
Next game,
another Halo.
Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, November 15th, 2011.
Yep.
Great remake.
I want to reiterate again that we know we're skipping a lot of games that were very big Xbox games. If they were not an exclusive, we're going to talk about them later in a different episode.
Yeah. So sorry,
we're on to a lot of Halo games here.
Fitness adventure fans, we're moving on.
We're moving on.
We're also skipping over Kinect Disneyland Adventures, which is the biggest money grab I could possibly think of in a game.
Holy moly.
Combining Disney and come on, we just need to sell this stuff. The Kinect's doing awful. Please just buy something. Halo Combat of Anniversary was amazing because they had the button that let you switch back to the old graphics and then the new graphics, and you're like,
that was really
God,
cool.
This is a huge change in everything. They really redid everything in the game, but they kept the core gameplay the same. Like the pistol was still boss. Like everything is great.
Everything was exactly the same. It just looked better. And it was, I do remember playing with like the super new graphics and being like, oh yeah, these are pretty good graphics. And I know they've been updated, but like the old game didn't look that bad. And then you press a button, you're like, oh my gosh, wow.
It was so bad.
It's amazing what your like imagination can fill in those days, where you're just like, wow, this is not what I remembered this game looking like. And then you click back to the new graphics and you're like, yeah, this is how I remember the game looking.
Yeah, I remember in Mario Kart 64 playing it on Double Dash and being like, well, the old 64 Mario Kart didn't look that bad. And then I plugged it in and I was like, oh no, like, what happened? What did my eyes deceive me for? This is awful.
What have I done?
Not awful, but for the time it was amazing. But now you're like, I remember thinking the battle mode in Mario Kart 64 looks so good with the balloons looking all great and everything. And it's like, you're just putting that in your mind. It didn't really look that great.
Yep.
Yeah, but Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary is a remake done right, where it's just really cosmetic. They fixed bugs, obviously. If there are any bugs in the game, they fixed those. And then they were like keeping it to the same thing that everybody loved, just in a newer package. And so you could go in with your friends again and play like those old maps. Like for my thing, it would be Hang 'em High, like big fan. And also you could play online because you had the full Halo Xbox Live experience now. So you could just jump in online and play with people, which is amazing.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Great game.
And it's part of the Master Chief Collection. So if you have that on Xbox One, you're playing the same thing that came out on 360, only even a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. So pick up that game. If you haven't played it yet and you own an Xbox 360 or an Xbox One, there's no excuse. But if you own an Xbox 360, try to get it for under $10. I mean, really.
Yep.
You should really get that deal there. Okay. The next game is also a Halo game, and it's the big one. It's Halo 4.
Halo 4.
November 6, 2012 is when it came out. I wonder if these are kind of slowing down because they know the Xbox One's coming and they're putting all their power towards that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of important games that came out, but again, they were multi-platform, so we'll talk about them later.
Yeah, so Halo 4 introduced the new race of aliens. Is it with the Prometheans, right? Correct? Just to get that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Prometheans, and then it had the Gygax. No, that's the guy.
The Didact.
The Didact. The Gygax is the guy who invented Dungeons and Dragons. The Didact is the alien from Halo 4.
It's kind of a different storyline from Halo 1, 2, and 3. Like that was kind of a self-contained trilogy, and then 4, 5, and I guess Infinite are kind of their own Cortana trilogy is what they call it.
Yeah, and I dug it. People didn't really like the story as much as the old Halos, but I thought what they were doing was really interesting and cool. And
I liked it.
I also remember this is the last video game I ever received as a gift.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
because
this was the first one that was not made by Bungie also. It was made by 343 Industries, which was a studio formed by Microsoft after Bungie left because they were owned by Microsoft.
It had old Bungie folks in it, right? Like some people stayed.
There were some folks who like still wanted to work on Halo that were given the opportunity to leave Bungie and go to 343. But when Bungie left, Microsoft was like, okay, you guys can leave, but we get to keep Halo, and we're going to keep making Halo games. And if you don't like it, get over it. And Bungie was like, okay, we'll go make Destiny then.
We'll go make another fun game that's really popular. Okay.
Yeah.
Halo 4 also introduced some differences in multiplayer, like you would drop down a bubble shield.
Mm-hmm.
Or you would...
Like Reach had some of that stuff too.
Oh yeah, Reach did have some of that stuff. But this had more of that in it, so they definitely kept that going. But the one thing I do like about Halo 4, and I guess this whole second trilogy in general, is the Cortana storyline where it's like she's slowly dying because the AIs all degrade. And spoilers again, if you haven't played these games, what are you doing with your life? And but it's just really tugging on my heartstrings because you kind of fall in love it's like as a pair, like Master Chief and Cortana, they're like two peas in a pod, you know? So this game is great. I'm a big fan of it. My dad got it for me for Christmas. It was the last game I ever unwrapped.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's so sad.
It's sad to say, but it's not. I mean, now it's cool because I'm an adult and I just buy video games when I want them.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fair.
Granted, I should say when this game came out, I was 24 and I still was an adult. I just didn't have any money, so my dad got me this game for Christmas, which is really fun. And it sucked too because he got it for me for Christmas, but I didn't take my Xbox with me to Texas, so I just held on to it for days, waiting to go back and play it.
Oh,
it's one of those, but.
I have a memory of Halo 4 getting it on the first day that it came out, and me and my buddy Levi, I went over to his house and we played it. We sat down, we played it start to finish. We just straight up. It's the last time I've ever like just totally sat down and not got up until I finished a game of like significant length. And we both really liked it as far as I know. Then I go online to find out people hated it, but whatever. I thought it was great.
I thought so too. And I think that is a fun thing to do that people don't do as much. Like just the idea of like playing a game with a friend on a couch. And that's what the Halo games kind of bring to the table. Like they already said that Halo 6 is going to have split screen multiplayer because damn, if they didn't have, I don't swear on this podcast. This is I'm not bleeping that out either. You need to include that in a game, especially a game like Halo where it was built on split screen multiplayer. So, so good. Such a great game. Big fan. Everyone should play it.
Also part of the Master Chief Collection.
Also, that's another thing. I mean, you and I have talked about it, how they should just add each new Halo to the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, 5 should be in there too, and Infinite should also be in there. I think it should just be like the Halo app, and you just go in there and you can play all your Halo games.
That would be so rad. The next ones, by the way, are some more Kinect games where it's like darts and ski racing. Those came out November 20th, 2012. Not much to talk about there. More Kinect baloney. There's also, it was called Kinect Sports Gems was the story behind it. That was like kind of what grouped them together. And they were all just...
there's like a series of them.
Yeah, that's like a prize... What is this one called? Hold on, I'm trying to make the column bigger so I can read it. It's prize driver, field goal contest, reaction rally, Kinect party. Oh, that's kind of neat. That's fun. Oh, look at that. Rare made these games.
Oh, wow. The mighty have fallen.
Yeah, right. I was a big fan of Halos, not a big fan of Kinect, and I'm sure other people would be fine with us kind of skipping over those. I think, are there any more exclusive lists on our list? I think that might be the last.
That's pretty much it. I mean, by this point, the Xbox One has come out, so notable exclusives are pretty much Xbox One games at this point, right?
That's true. Yeah, I'm looking here, and I mean, if you guys wanted to know, the last game on our list that came out for the Xbox 360 was Just Dance 2019 on October 23rd, 2018. That was the last game on our list from Wikipedia. So maybe more games have come out since then, but you know what? People still love Just Dance, and they're probably using their Kinect, which is good. I want someone to use Kinect because I didn't. I hope someone did. I hope someone enjoyed it,
Yep.
Someone enjoyed having those little red lasers all over their room.
Yeah, the infrared dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a long episode.
Yeah, it was, but we got through pretty much everything.
We did get through everything.
Exclusives-wise, there's probably some stuff we missed up in here, but we can talk about them next time, too.
Yeah, if we miss some, we'll just jump into them next episode, I'm sure. And if you want to know more, if you want to tell us what ones we missed and how dumb we are, you can email us at codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. You can find Tyler on Twitter at SneakerElf, ELPH. You can find me on Twitter at MECOLETTA. And Tyler, what have you been playing?
I have been playing, obviously, lots of Destiny, always playing Destiny. Finally got my Jotun exotic to drop, so I've been wrecking in PvP with that. But in addition to that, I have been watching Kelly play Kingdom Hearts 3D, which stands for Dream Drop Distance, the remake for PS4. She finally finished it last night, so we're going to be moving on to I kid you not, this is what these games are called, Kingdom Hearts 0.2, A Fragmentary Passage. That's next. That's only a few hours long. And then we'll be moving into Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm so excited.
Oh, the newest one?
Yep.
Oh, man. I think I'm just going to fly down to your guys' house and just stay with you while you play that game.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. I'll see you there.
You're always welcome here.
Thank you. Just to watch Kelly. I flew down to California to watch Kelly play video games. Yeah, no, this, I really want to get into those games. I really do. But it
They're
seems
great,
like
man. You got to get a PS4, though.
such a huge task.
Yeah. Well, you can play the first two on PS3 also if you're cool with
I even
that.
thought about, dude, just doing it the lazy way and cutting through and watching some cut scenes and then jumping into 3 because it's on Xbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of a way to not really get the story all the way. So, and I've heard the story is a little convoluted.
Oh, just a little. They also play okay on emulators too. If you have legally owned copies of the PlayStation 2 version,
of course I do, because
you
know
can
I'm not
play
gonna
them
do
on
this
your computer
legally.
probably.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the legal way around always, dude.
Yep.
Look at me, Captain Nice Guy. That's what they call me.
Mm-hmm.
Captain doesn't pirate games. Beard.
Of course not.
Because I have a beard afterward. It's supposed to be a color in the word beard, but I just go with Captain doesn't pirate games beard.
What have you been playing,
pirate
Mike?
Captain. I have been playing Destiny a little bit. I've slowed down quite a bit. Last week I didn't really play at all.
This is one of those weeks where it's like, there's like Valentine's Day stuff. It's okay. It's not a ton to do, and that's all right. There's plenty of games to play.
And that's fine. And I have been playing Battlefield 5. I picked up again because they have an update in it, and it still plays a little bit like dirt. As in, it's a little
I need to jump back
buggy.
into that with you.
But they've introduced a co-op mode that my brother and I plan on playing tomorrow together. So maybe tomorrow on your day off, you want to jump in a little. It's 2 to 4 player co-op.
Ooh.
So if you're down to drop into that, we can just I'll send you a text when my brother and I get on, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
But that's something I've been jumping into because I wanted to play more of that. I downloaded and installed Titanfall 2 to play the story, and I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Oh, I need to do that too.
It was free on Games with Gold, and I got it. And this is before they did the thing now with Games with Gold, where if you get a Games with Gold for Xbox One, you don't actually buy it. You just rent it until you either uninstall it or you buy it to own after it's done being Games with Gold.
Like you lose it after it leaves Games with Gold or something?
Yes. But
Really?
it's not that way with Xbox 360 reverse compatibility games. So guess what game I got on Xbox 360 this month?
What?
It is Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy.
Oh!
It is free right now on Xbox 360 or Xbox One.
That's an original Xbox game, right?
Yeah, it's backwards compatible. Yeah.
Damn.
You
That's
can
awesome. I want
you can
that.
download it for free right now. And
Oh,
it's
I'm
only
doing it.
2 gigs. It's
I'm
only
doing it right now.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, I'm going to wait until the next day to tell Tyler because I want to tell him on the podcast because I know he'll get excited because I know you like that game a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got that. And I've been playing Apex Legends.
I've been playing a little bit of that too.
Yeah, I was playing Apex Legends quite a bit. I've won another game. And
nice.
it was the first time winning a game where I wasn't dead. So that's exciting.
That's nice.
Or knocked because usually that's how it works.
Yeah.
But I've been getting better at it. I've found out some little tips and tricks. I learned that the Peacekeeper shotgun is a really good gun at medium range when it has the choke thing on it. Like, it's not, you think a shotgun in most games is very close range. It is not in Apex Legends. It becomes a medium range gun. So that's something to think about if you're thinking about running the Peacekeeper. But also, I've kind of I even actually got enough points to unlock a character on Xbox.
Oh, nice.
So that was, what's cool is it's not that much of a grind to do it either. I think I hit like level 22 or 23, and then I could unlock one of the characters.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No. So yeah, I think everyone, if you're wondering about that, you should definitely, it's not pay to win. You can eventually unlock the characters for those legend bucks or whatever, which is pretty cool. But I keep getting, the game keeps crashing on PC. I would love to play it on PC, but it keeps crashing for me and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I've heard they know about it. There was a post online where they were like, yeah, we know. And they're working on it. So that's good.
That's good. Yeah, I'll jump into it on PC again when they fix it. I'm just stressed because it seems to be also crashing at the worst times possible. It's like I have all these kid stuff. I've killed a bunch of dudes and now it crashes. And I'm like, oh man, I'm doing so well. It's like, hey, is the Heat doing well in the game? Crash it. That's what it feels like it's doing. And then other than that, I haven't really been picking up new stuff. I am trying to go through the backlog of Xbox games with gold that I downloaded and kept and tried to go through those more. So after I do Titanfall 2, I'm thinking I might jump into Sunset Overdrive.
Oh, yeah. I need to play that too because it's on PC now.
Yeah, and it's a free game. It was a free game on Xbox I picked up for games with gold. And there's a couple other ones on there that I'm like, even like some Assassin's Creed ones that I'm like, oh, I should play these because they're free and I already have them.
Yeah. Might as well.
Also, Rainbow Six Vegas 2 was a game that was backwards compatible that I have on there that I never played and I heard is actually pretty fun.
Nice.
So it's been good. I got a lot of games I can play and I don't have to spend money on them, which is really fun. It's a fun place to be.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's our episode for today. Man, it was a long one. We really went through it. I mean, I'm going to edit some of it down, obviously, because we had some technical issues. But, oh boy, long episode today. So that guy who was asking for long episodes, we got it for you, buddy.
We got you.
We're listening to you, and we love you. And thank you, everyone who's been listening. As always, you can rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcast or Stitcher or wherever you listen to us. It means the world to us. It helps us out a lot. We don't really advertise the show at all. Like, I tell people about it when they're like, you're doing another podcast? And that's it. So if you want to spread the word, it would mean the world to Tyler and I. Thank you. And you want to say bye, Tyler? Today, can you say bye in like a guilty way, you know?
Like I feel guilty, or am I trying to make people feel
say
guilty?
Say goodbye like you were a dog and you were caught in the cookie jar.
Barf, barf, barf.
I thought you were going to say bye, but you went to a full dog. I'm so into it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
This has been a Podaholics Comedy Network presentation. Podaholics.com